Okay, it's officially 5:30 to start the CIC meeting, May 14th, 2024. Mr. President?
Yes, we'll call us in session at 5:30. First, we'll do a roll call vote, please. And we seem to be missing.
So today we have our secretary is absent and our treasurer is absent. And so I am going to be substituting for our secretary today. So Mr. Unger.
Here.
Ms. Ulrich.
Here.
And Mr. Wallert.
Here.
Mr. Morbeck.
Here.
And I am here.
All right. The first item on the meeting agenda for today is the approval of minutes.
Excuse me for interrupting. Would you like to make a motion to adopt the agenda? Is that okay? Or?
Sure. I always prefer to do that, actually.
Yeah, I know you did, and I wrote a note. The auto generation did not add that in there, so we need to fix that next time.
Okay, so you have in front of you and in the board packet the agenda for this evening. Are there any motions with regard to that agenda?
I motion that we adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion?
None.
All right, we'll go to a vote.
Mr. Unger.
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Wallert?
Yes.
Mr. Morbeck?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
All right. Next, we will go to the approval of minutes. So you have, again, in the board packet, if I can pull it up here.
The I motion that we would approve the March 26, 2024 minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Those minutes were
emailed
provided to each of the members ahead of the meeting today for your review.
No discussion from me.
All right, Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Wallert?
Yes.
Mr. Morbeck?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
All right, new business. Mr. Miller, I guess you can take us away.
All right, so as we know, we have discussed a couple of times that the Colerain Township Fire Training Center on Old Colerain has been deeded to us, to the C.I.C. by the township, and so we placed it out on the market for sale, and I have shown it probably a good dozen times, some repeats, and others I think just maybe drive-bys and they're curious. So in your packet is the one offer that we received, and so understandably the facility needs a tremendous amount of work. It has no power. The water system is on a cistern, and it's on a septic system as well. And so the offer that we have in front of us was from Battle Axe Construction. As they looked at it 2 or 3 times with their full team, they realized the amount of work that was going to be needed was going to be very expensive for them to be able to repurpose that into new headquarters for their corporation. And so in lieu of actually making a purchase from us, they offered to do a redevelopment of the entire parcel and that project out there if we would be willing to deed the property to them at no cost. So that is the offer that is in front of you. And so the motion actually is to not accept that particular offer that's that has come in.
So are there any motions before we discuss?
I motion we did receive one bid, and I motion that we reject all bids received for the training center.
I'll second that. All right, discussion.
I did review the bid, and while he gives an estimate of what he feels like the dollar amount of work would be, which would be $2.5 million, he does not make a commitment to have it valued at that level. So at that level, we might be able to recoup some money on it and get a development, but there's no commitment to that level, and there's no timeline, and I think it'd be better for the C.I.C. if we went and looked a little further to see if anybody else had an interest in the property.
I will say there is still some interest. some late lookers, and so I think that there's still a possibility that we could get some offers from one of those companies, but it hasn't come in yet, and so there is another item on the agenda that is a possibility.
I reviewed the
alternative.
I can't believe, I'm not interested in that offer whatsoever, because I think it's a beautiful piece of property. Any developer can come in there and make lots out of those, and I just think it's an awesome building also. And we have not exposed it to the market. I mean, our little market that we have gotten is about this big in the next agenda. Putting it on a nationwide system that more people can see, I think we'll get better bids than zero.
And I think if we wanted to, I'm trying to recall the exact nomenclature of the offering, but I don't think it said we would entertain bids of zero. I think if you put that in there, you would get, I'm not saying necessarily to take it, but you would get, in a nationwide search, you would get a lot of interesting, I think a lot of people at zero could go in there and do a lot of, not saying that I want to take that, because I don't. And I think the other thing that hit me is, I believe you and I discussed the value on the open market of that building, and I think that at this point I'm prepared to wait it out. Do we have any idea what the holding cost is?
It's zero.
Well, I mean, we cut the grass and.
Well, sorry, yes, our public services is out there periodically keeping the grass cut, so we're not placing a value on that per se, and they're not billing us for that, for those expenses, but there is no cost beyond that, cutting the grass.
There haven't been any security concerns out there or?
No, there really haven't. Interesting.
Have you seen the building? Mm-hmm. It's a fortress.
I've not been in it, but I've been through the property.
I mean, I think with the right person coming in there, that would be an awesome facility for a couple things we've discussed.
I've been trying to work with all of our board to at least get one visit out there, get a walkthrough. So I'd love to, I know we haven't been able to yet, but next time we're going out there, you can go along and we can I just want to make sure you have a good feel for what the asset is and helps you attach a value as you're analyzing these offers.
I did
Could be
talk.
a bomb shelter.
Oh yeah, no, I did talk to a business that had looked at the property, and their feelings were very positive about it. Not the right timing for their business to potentially move out that direction, but it was a viable visit, I believe, and spoke positively of it. You know, from a value or dollars and cents perspective, the market's going to bear. All of us know that something is worth more than zero. And I'm in agreement with you guys that zero doesn't make any sense at this point.
Now that you've kind of opened the can of worms a little bit, did you get any other feedback, and Mr. Miller, did you get any other feedback, good, bad, or indifferent about the building itself? And
the building is it's a very fortified structure that Procter & Gamble created to house their data center. So you can envision what that might look like with 12 to 15-inch concrete walls. The infrastructure within has a lot of mechanical systems that they built in to protect and keep cool and maintain all of their computer systems that were in there, that were running. Very large open rooms that housed all of their computers and data. The unknowns in the mechanical rooms, I think, are the questions: do any of these work? That is a big question with the electric transformer having gone out, which necessitated our vacating of the building. That has left a very large question mark as to cost to get electricity back out there. The courtyard that houses a lot of the outdoor HVAC and electrical and the mechanicals, that also leaves a bunch of question marks as to how overgrown that is right now and what the air handlers and systems are going to be able to provide as well. So I think at this point there's just usually it's just questions and unknowns as to what it would cost to get this up and running. With the water lines across the street available to attach to, I think that provides a little more certainty about water. And then, of course, everything north of Struble is on septic, and so that's going to continue to be maintained. But, once again, unknown as to whether that system is still operational or not, and whether they could get a legitimate inspection on that, having not been used in some time.
So Hamilton County hasn't done any kind of inspection on the septic system or red tagged it, or as far as this Hamilton County, it's still approved. There's no, they have not condemned it, or no work to be done to it.
So I took Congressman years right before COVID, Congressman Shabbat on a tour of that, and I believe it was even in the budget that it was going to be a DEA training facility. And COVID, I think, put an end to that. One of the problems, so I'm very intimately familiar with the building. One of the problems they continued to have was the roof. Is that still an issue?
There are just a few places where it appears that there has been a leak. One primarily in the far back side, where there are some pipes that go through the roof, and so that seal or the boot appears to have let some water in. There's probably 3 or 4 places throughout the building where a ceiling tile has gotten wet and has fallen. But there's never, in any of my walkthroughs, there's never been any kind of wetness that has been associated with those places.
We looked at it on a rainy day, and there was no standing water anywhere. Just you could see on the very far back wall with it.
Yeah.
And it was minimal.
And I think I would probably leave all this up to a real estate inspector if somebody was going to buy the building to let.
And the other question I have is there any other thing that we can do to harden that once people find that it is not in use? It becomes and it's hidden back there. I mean, it's.
It is. There is a gate that we could close and have that locked to prevent vehicular access all the way to the back. If we want to do that, the electric sliding gate is inoperable, of course, right now with no electricity, but we could, I think, manually figure out a way to keep that locked up if we needed to do that.
Yeah, I don't think there's any whole house inspectors I know that would be able to be equipped to inspect that building with the amount of electricity. Plus, you can't do anything until you get electricity unless you got a generator, I guess.
No, I mean hardening it from
No,
potential.
when Dan said about a building inspector, I said, there's so much electric in there.
Prior to me coming here, I was in the technology space, and based on what's been shared, the reason that these data centers are built in the places like this is for mitigating risk. If the Rumpke building, as an example, housed all of their technology, and the Rumpke building got hit by something, having a backup center out in the middle of nowhere, is important. If a tornado comes and takes down the township building, it's good that their data is someplace else. On a national basis, somebody may see that as an opportunity. I just spoke to the Chamber of Commerce president in Jackson, Mississippi, and if you want to look it up, AWS is investing $10 billion, the largest infrastructure project in the history of the state of Mississippi, in a data center in Jackson, Mississippi. So the dollars and cents are out there. Whether or not this is or isn't the right site for a business, I'm in agreement with you. Finding another option makes sense.
Absolutely.
And I think with the Intel project in Columbus and in the spokes that are going to drag out, and one of the agreements that Intel has is that none of their suppliers, I forget the exact, are within 60 miles, which means things are going to bleed over to places like Dayton and possibly Cincinnati. So,
good thought.
Yeah, that if they ever get started. All right. Any other discussion?
For me.
All right, so the motion is to reject the bid that's before us
Yes.
for the offer. Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Mr. Morvek?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
All right, item B, sir.
Next item is, again, it's a motion for us to solicit proposals for getting some assistance in listing this for sales through some commercial brokerage services. And so that motion is before you.
I motion that we would solicit proposals for commercial brokerage services for the sale of the Colerain Township Training Center.
I'll second that.
And I think it's a fine idea, and let's see,
Great idea.
let's see what's out there.
And I don't know how the solicitation would go, but I'd like to target certain, so we know that certain firms deal with certain corporations. I'd like to target them with the solicitation instead of being passive. I want to be kind of active about that.
Yeah, we want to get somebody that has Crexy and the other commercial, yes, we want to have a national company that is involved with all the different MLL systems
Right.
in the commercial division.
And if we know, for instance, there's somebody that does data for computer chips for Intel, who is the broker they use, that kind of thing.
Okay.
You're
So
looking for it.
what I'll do is, I'll work on that over the next month and bring a list back to you for consideration. And with what their parameters would be for listing it. Does that sound
And-
like?
I mean, I know when you sell a house, I think you'd probably know this too.
There's a good chance.
They give you the marketing plan, they say we're gonna do X amount of open houses. Will they do the same with an industrial piece? Okay,
They should, in part of all the different social medias accounts and
Okay.
all the different venues that they're gonna be listing it in.
okay,
And so that's what we want, somebody that has a broad spectrum of the United States, not just Cincinnati.
right,
Or Columbus,
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, any more discussion?
So you're going to come back with some proposals at our next
Yes.
meeting? Okay.
I'll prepare a scope and send that scope of work out to
Whoever.
all of the, brokers and,
Yeah, we've had one broker come and look at it, correct?
yes, we did have one broker
Okay.
that did want to look.
No other comments from me?
They'll be interested as well. All right, Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Mr. Morvek?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
All right, that passes. C, discussion and potential action, Sears Utilities.
All right, so update on that. We have nearly completed an ALTA survey on all of the utilities on the site. And they have informed us that all of them can be cut with the exception of one sewer line. And so that's going to make eventual separation much simpler. There is a fire line that goes around the whole mall site that we won't be able to disconnect, of course, and until such time as there's a final development plan that goes through, and then that fire line would need to be rerouted, of course. So that's some information we got off the ALTA survey. I did provide you with a copy of a early winter utility bill that shows why the utilities have continued to remain high. I had a conversation with Duke Customer Service about it and trying to dig deeper into why we really weren't seeing a reduction after turning off the heat. So there are very limited safety lights that have been on, air handler that's just circulating air through the building just to try to prevent any kind of mold from growing.
So we might get a rebate back from that?
We were thinking the possibility was there for averaging,
Exactly.
average billing.
Right.
And turned out that we were not on average billing, But if you'll look on the second page of this, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders. So our usage is there at $1,700. But all of the riders, with the most significant one being the retail energy rider, which was defined as,
Is that for a peak? Because we don't have peaks there
it's a
anymore.
constant, that's right. So 10% was usage, 90% was riders for recovery of the cost of energy purchased by Duke in competitive auctions. So Duke is charging us that $13,000 fee for that rider. So what I did was, took it up to the next notch and called the government affairs for Duke and said, we've got to get a handle on this. And so Duke is currently putting a meeting together with government relations, with their economic development director for Duke and their large customer account rep. And so we'll have a meeting here in the near future, kind of walk through our billing, our property, find out a way, if there's any way we can reclassify this building, anything that we can do to drive these costs down, the holding costs. So that's the next plan. So.
Okay. I did get a message from Cindy Abrams on Thursday that it is for the grant debt, demo. Development is still reviewing applications for the demolition grant in general and are trying to start awarding them as soon as possible. They hope you have more information in the coming weeks. So somewhat movement, but not.
We continue to look for opportunities to talk to folks that are, kind of on the inside. I've made calls as well to Senator Blessing and Representative Abrams' offices and talked to their staff.
Representative Abrams, I'm sorry.
So we think there is some good possibility that we'll hear this month or early next month is the latest intel that I had. So, and in the meantime, again, we've just about completed the Alta survey. They're finalizing a few things on their report, which is needed in order to know where all the utilities are for disconnect and how it might affect the rest of the mall. We'll have that information available as we can, get notice and can proceed with the RFP and for demolition.
I think at this point, I would leave this air circulation. I think at this point, I would leave the air circulation on in the building, because with the dampness and the rain we've been having, if you stop moving air through there, I think we're going to have issues that are greater than these costs.
Okay.
But hopefully we get an answer soon.
Right. That's all I have on the utilities discussion.
Did you, what do you think, Kathy and Matt?
I want it off as soon as
I
possible.
want it off, yeah. Okay. And damage, we're going to demo it anyway, so what's going to?
Well, I never like to burn any kind of bridge. I think we are, but who knows what might happen. What are the chances of getting these riders reduced or getting some?
I have no inclination at this point what those.
But if we turned it all the way off, we would still not have that bill or not?
That's what we don't know at this point.
Okay.
There's the Duke customer service could not answer very many questions if she was in a call center. So she seemed to think that just turning everything off would leave the riders on the bill. But then if we were to disconnect the building from Duke, then there was the potential for eliminating the rider at that point, because there is nothing for them to connect to. They're not connected to our building, therefore there is no service that they're providing to us.
We're eventually going to have to disconnect it anyway when it's demoed. Yeah, so.
So I think, I'm hoping that by our next meeting, we'll even have some more information that we'll be able to.
It's a ridiculous amount of money, in my opinion, $13,000.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully by the next meeting, we have some information on whether or not we're getting a grant.
Yep.
Right.
I just think once you turn that off, you're gonna start having a lot of other issues. And it could make a difference in the demolition cost if there's a lot of mold remediation, so I would just as soon leave it on.
And it seems like that response from the state is coming sooner rather than later. So, I mean, if, I might push back on Dan a little bit more if it was 14 months from now.
Yeah.
But 2 weeks from now, it seems like the wise thing to do.
When that day comes, if there is a decision made by this board to turn it off, we're gonna have to build a sealed wall to keep any air from going in and out of the rest of the mall. Right now, it's just that pull-down roller door that's got, lets air through.
All right, so I don't think we need a, because we're not taking action, so we don't need a,
Vote.
yeah, what's that? We don't need a vote because we're, yeah.
I have no citizens addressed forms for this.
Okay, is there anything else for the good of the cause that,
What I don't think we have citizens address forms for this meeting. Did anybody wanna, I think in the agenda it says if time allows.
Yeah. But there's
Does anybody here want to speak? Okay.
just not.
I'll go ahead and motion that we would adjourn this meeting at 5:56 PM.
I'll second that.
all right,
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
yes.
Mr. Morvay,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Officially 6:01 to start the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees on May 14th, 2024. Is there a need for an executive session? And,
Ms. Ulrich?
yes, oh, yeah, yes.
Mr. Younger?
I always forget roll call.
Here.
Here,
Mr. Waller?
Present.
Board, I would request a motion to go into executive session in accordance with Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G1, to discuss discipline of public employees, in accordance with 122G3, to discuss pending or imminent litigation, and in accordance with 121.22G8, to discuss confidential information related to specific business strategy and negotiations with other political subdivisions respecting requests for economic development assistance.
I motion that we would go into executive session for the reasons detailed by Administrator Weckbach.
Second.
Ms. Ulrich?
yes.
Mr. Younger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
7 o'clock, Verizon time, time to start the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, May 14th, 2024. Roll call, please.
Ms. Ulrich?
Here.
Mr. Younger?
Here.
Mr. Waller?
Here.
Okay, can we stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And for our moment of meditation, with Sunday being Mother's Day, let us keep and cherish our mothers in our hearts and cherish the memories of all the mothers that have passed. Thank you. Okay, do we have anything to report from executive sessions?
Nothing to report.
Okay. And we got approval of minutes.
Thank you, Board. I would ask for a motion for the approval of the minutes of the meeting of the Board of Trustees on April 23rd, 2024.
I motion that we approve the minutes from the April 23rd meeting.
I'll second that.
Any discussions?
None.
None?
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Younger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Board. First tonight, we have a meeting or a presentation from Sorta Metro on some updates as it relates to Colerain Township. I believe we've got a couple of folks from Sorta Metro here tonight to lead this presentation, so.
Hi.
Good evening.
Thank you guys for letting us out tonight. My name is Troy Miller. I'm the Senior Manager of Government Relations. This is Alec Osborne. He's our planning department. We want to give you an update on Metro now, how well it's working out, right? Because This was something we started last year. We was here last year and we talked about it. Now we want to give you an update on how the ridership's going. Alex is going to walk through. Afterward, you have any questions, let us know. I give you guys all a hard copy, so if you want to take notes on it too, follow along. With that,
Thanks, Troy. Thanks, Colerain. How we doing tonight?
Good, thank you.
So there's who we are. I'm actually wearing the same tie, so we'll ignore that. So next slide, please. Yeah, so what is Metro Now? So Metro Now is a mobility on demand transit option that we provide here with Metro and within Hamilton County and the greater Cincinnati area. So what you can see is we got 6 zones up there. 4 of them are planned, 2 of them are open. Springdale, Sharonville is open to the north, and then you guys are in the orange, the North Gate, Mount Healthy region. You guys are open as well. We launched you guys back in July of 2023. We expanded service hours actually last month, about 3 weeks ago. The trips start within that zone and within the zone. You can't cross over zones. We're still deciding if that's going to be in the future or not. It's connecting people within the zones to jobs, housing, shopping, amenities, all that good stuff, fixed routes within our network as well. So next slide, please. So how does Metro Now work? So you can hop on your phone, download the app. We have a Metro Now app. You can go to the Google Store, Apple Store, any of that good stuff. Download it. Travel anywhere within the designated zone. It's going to be a $2 flat service charge, no hidden fees, one way. If you're trying to come back, an extra $2, so $4 total. Operates 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. on weekdays, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. on weekends and major holidays. Next slide, please. So how do you schedule a trip? Like I was saying, download the Metro Now app. It's a super easy app to use. Interface is user-friendly. If you actually have your location on your phone or your device, it will automatically tell where you are, so easier to schedule a pickup. You just type in the address where you want to go, and the address can be, you can say Kroger on Colerain, and it'll pick that up as well, and it'll take you there. It'll quote you a time, ETAs, estimated time of arrival of the van, stuff like that. And then you can just hit accept ride or accept proposal, and then you'll be on your way. You just got to wait for the Metro Now van. And you do the same for the return. Oh, you're good, thanks. So how do you schedule a trip? You can use the app, or you can call dispatch. An actual person will pick up. So with Metro, we have an emphasis on customer service. So we actually have a person that will answer the phone for you and help you schedule that trip. It's great for the elderly. They love using that. Pay $2 cash when the van arrives, or you can prepaid with a credit card on the app, and you do the same for the return trip. Here's what the vans look like. Some Ram Sprinter vans. Very spacious, 8 seats, 4 children seat. You got to bring your own child seat. Children do ride. 2 children under 37 inches in height can ride for free when accompanied by an adult. So that's always nice to know. It's also ADA accessible. We have ramps that go down. Yeah, thanks. Next slide. So here's the existing zone for you guys, Northgate, Mount Healthy. We did expand to capture the Colerain Senior Center and the municipal building over here off of Springdale Road. It doesn't look like it used to if you were familiar with the zone before. Next slide, please. So here's our service report breaking down the ridership and the growth throughout almost a year now that we've had it running in Mount Healthy Northgate area. So as you can see, in July of 23, when we implemented it, we just had over 1,000 riders. And as you can see, it has grown over the year. Right now we're at 6,058 with a 99.5% on-time performance rate. So when the van says it's going to arrive, within that 5 minutes before or after means it's on time. So our on-time performance is 99.5%. We're working on ETAs, but that's a great key performance indicator for us right there. Here you can see the weekday, Saturday, and Sunday averages. Since we expanded the hours of weekend operations to 9 p.m. or 8 p.m., you can see the ridership has spiked up on the weekends. From March of last month to April, we grew 50 riders on Saturday and Sunday just about. So those extra 2 hours on Saturday and Sunday alone really helped grow our ridership within both Metro Now zones. And as you can see, here is your guys' zone. So the dotted line is going to be the expanded area. The highlighted gray, the darker gray, is going to be the previous zone. So we expanded to catch that Kroger off of Hamilton. We got you guys over here off of Springdale Road. Yeah, and you over there to the right, you can see our top 5 destinations. You got the Clover Nook Apartments is their highest ridership with 404 riders last month, and as you can see, the Krogers are heavy hitters. I mean, people got a grocery shop and the amenities and all that good stuff. Walmart as well, and then Mount Healthy High School. A lot of the kids use the service, which is great. And yeah, this is just me and Troy's contact information. If you would like to learn more, you can use that QR code. At this time, we'll take any questions. Thank you for your time.
Yes, I have a couple. How, with the Metro now, how has that, is that taking away a lot of the regular bus driver during the bus? And what is since you've got a high average of people using this, what is the average on a daily basis that are using the regular Metro bus in Colerain?
So our actual ridership on the big bus has not went down at all.
Okay.
So this was designed to get out in the communities where the buses don't
Right.
go. We do have some will take the van to the bus to go downtown, but a lot of them are used staying in that zone. We're noticing they're staying in that zone, like the Krogers
Okay.
and so forth.
Now, with the Metro, what is the need for a 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. pickup at the Walmart up on Colerain where the Dick's is?
We don't have a Metro now.
No, in Metro, so I'm asking for the Metro, you're just
So
Metro.
we went to a 24-hour service because of jobs, because we have people that need jobs, and that might just be the layover or the turnaround.
Yeah, there's a 1 a.m. and 2 a.m., so I'm wondering why there's
That's
a
the
need.
dead end. I mean, up in Walmart,
Yes.
that's the dead end where they turn around at. That's the only spot.
Okay, just seems like,
I know, it's just, but if you change the service in the middle of the night for certain runs and make it shorter, where do you turn and where do you stop? You know what I'm saying?
it's
So,
just-
I know, we understand.
okay.
How many of these, you might not know this answer, how many of these vans do you have?
I want to believe it's either 12 or 14.
You've got
we're trying to
14 of
get-
them running 6,000
Yeah.
rides a month?
Yep. We're trying to get more vans now. If we can get more, we're going to start more zones this year.
So that's about 20, 22 rides a day per van,
Yep.
every day?
Yep.
That's a lot of running. You must switch out drivers at some
We
point
do.
after 8
We do.
hours.
We have someone do like we'll do like a split shift. Maybe they'll do an access in the morning and then maybe they'll do a Metro Now in the afternoon. So we use the access operators to run the Metro Now service. So they do double
Sure.
duty.
I hope it works out for you and
it's
for everybody.
I think it's a good program, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Have a good evening.
You too.
All right, thank you, board. The next item on the agenda is a public hearing for case CZZ-24-2. This is zoning map amendment requiring a PDP for 9328 Pippin Road. I believe David Miller is going to introduce it, and then we will open a public hearing after that.
All right, so this is a public hearing that's required after the zoning commission has heard the preliminary development plan. They held that in April the 8th, I believe, and recommended that approval to you at a 5-0 vote. And so we have Mr. Charles Baverman, who is representing the developer, Marion Development Group. They are from Louisville. They have a very robust portfolio of a variety of apartment options, multifamily. They've done some repurposing, some older buildings. They've built new ones. This is going to be a new facility on 9328 Pippin. So where Pippin makes a right turn onto Adams and then makes another left turn to go north by Northbrook Shopping Center. So it's basically right back behind that corner. That's the old Staverman Farm. It's 12.1 acres, 12.7 acres. This will be phase 1, 118 units, primarily for seniors who need assistance in living, and it's going to be a planned development for mixed use, so they'll have a number of amenities on site as well. And so we're excited for them. It's approximately $50 million project, so it's one of the largest we've had in a long time, and we've had a great relationship so far working with the developers on this, and so we're going to invite them up for a full presentation.
So I'll motion that we open up public hearing, excuse me, CZC 24-2, zoning map amendment requiring a preliminary development plan for 9328 Pippin Road.
I will second Matt's motion.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
So if you plan to testify today, please stand and raise your right hand. Any residents wish to testify at all today? You swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Just please state your name and address. Thanks.
Good evening, trustees. My name is Charles Baverman. I'm counsel for Marion Development Group, and I'm a partner at Dinsmore & Shoal, 255 East 5th Street, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45202. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to present to you this evening. With me today is David Reeves with Marion, and he's going to start us off by telling you a little bit about the company and their history and development and what we'd like to do here.
Hello, my name is David Reeves. Work for Marion Development Group as a development coordinator in Louisville, Kentucky. Marion Development Group, we're based in Louisville, and we've been operating for over 20 years. We are a vertically integrated development firm, which means we have in-house architecture and general contractor. As a company, we focus on people, neighborhoods, and community. So this means that whether we're building a garden-style multifamily or market-rate townhomes or the type of assisted living facility that is before the council tonight, we work to ensure that it's going to be of benefit to the community. Thank you.
So as Mr. Miller indicated, this project would be on Pippin Road. The property it's about a 12.5 acre site. This is going to be developed in 2 phases, and what we are here seeking this evening is a rezoning of the entire property with approval for a preliminary development plan for phase 1 of the property. The property is currently vacant. Right now, it is zoned residential R6 at this time, and the zoning we're seeking is PDM, which is Planned Development Mixed, which staff has advised us is the appropriate zoning for our use, which will be senior assisted living. The mixed component is that there's an employment component to this project. This will generate jobs. It's commercial usage with a residential component for those residents. So as David mentioned, Marion has extensive development experience, built over 20 commercial residential communities throughout Ohio and Kentucky. They have experience with affordable housing communities, and so this is a model that they're comfortable with and have done in the past. This will be our first one in Ohio.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. So, affordable assisted living with a memory care component. This is a 4-story building, 118 units. This will be studio and 1-bedroom units. It's going to be, as David said, about a $50 million investment in the community. It's going to create about 55 new jobs. These pictures that you go back to the last slide. The pictures you can see there are one of Marion's recent communities that they've developed here, and the building design will be very similar with the building we're proposing here. Now, I just want to remind everyone, though, this is preliminary stage, so we do not have any engineered plans specific for this site yet. If we are able to obtain approval this evening for the preliminary plan, we'll move to full engineering, and then we'd come back to you with a final development plan that will contain the details of the building design, the architectural elements, and all of that. So these are conceptual examples of what we're going to be doing here if we're able to gain approval. So here's the site. As you can see, overall it's a large site, mostly green space. Right now, the development here, and we'll have a slide you can see later on, will be phase 1 will be the northern portion of this property, closer to Adams Road. south of the church and the commercial development there where the mouse is. And then phase 2 will be the portion along Pippin Road. These are conceptual renderings of the building. Again, very similar to what Marion has done previously, as you could see before. So go ahead. And we have those on the poster boards here as well if you'd like to take a closer look. It's a conceptual layout of what this community might look like. Again, once on full engineering, the configuration of the wings and the location of the front entrance and which side that would be on would be subject to change, but this is a conceptual layout. And what you can see is that the building core contains the communal amenities for the residents, with the resident units branching out from there. And it's third and fourth levels, which are all residential units from there. So specific to what we're asking for, as I said, we are seeking a rezoning to PDM zoning and preliminary development plan approval. There's the concept level layout of the site, and a couple things to note here. There's going to be extensive buffering to protect the resident neighborhoods in the area from any visual impact from this community. It's a large site. It's well wooded at this time. And so we're going to preserve that vegetative buffer 30 feet around each side of the community. There's also, you can see the setback from the community to the south as well. We're going to put the stormwater detention there so as to create a large setback area. One of the other benefits to senior living as it pertains to adjoining residential communities, it's one of the quietest uses out there. I mean, these communities, you can kind of roll up the sidewalks around 7 o'clock at night. They're not lit up at night. There's not a lot of noise, and the traffic generation, as we'll get into later, is very low. Planned development districts. So that is what we're seeking in terms of zoning here this evening. The purpose of a planned development district per the Township zoning code is to create flexibility in the code for uses that don't fit neatly into one zoning category or another. And this is one of those uses. There's not a clean fit in one of the traditional zoning districts for a use of this nature with the relatively low need for parking, but a large building that is required for institutional care for residents. The comprehensive plan that Colerain Township has designates this site as a multifamily residential and development. That would be the proposed future use of the site in your comprehensive plan. And what the plan articulates is that this use is an excellent transitional use between single-family residential and other types of development. And that's, I believe, why the comprehensive plan identifies this site for that type of use, because you have single-family residential to the south and to the east, and you have commercial property to the north along Adams Road. So this site would be an ideal transitional buffer and transitional use as you go from single-family residential into commercial. For the reasons I mentioned earlier, these are quiet communities, larger buildings, but low traffic generators, and will really blend the community well as it goes from residential to commercial. Your comprehensive plan also articulates a clear need for more senior housing, which this project would provide and fulfill those goals of the comprehensive plan. So specifically, there's a goal to encourage the development of quality housing to attract residents across a range of incomes. There's also a strategy to increase the development of senior-friendly housing in the community. This obviously would fulfill those goals and adhere with that strategy. Another goal of your comprehensive plan, another strategy to fulfill the goal of encouraging a variety of housing styles, is to promote a diversity of housing types that can accommodate various residents of different income levels, including residents who rent versus own, and higher density developments to allow for more housing within the community. Again, this is 118 units on this site. This is going to create 118 new opportunities for seniors to continue living in the community as they age and getting care in the community that they've lived their lives in. Another land use goal, a mixture of uses and density levels within the township, and enhancing the walkability of the community. This, what we've proposed here, and you'll see this final design, but our preliminary drawings already reflect this. There's going to be sidewalks all the way around this community with walking paths for these residents. We're going to preserve the green space buffer around to really enhance the beauty, the natural beauty of the environment. So this community is going to be a visual asset for the area residents who now have what is dilapidated buildings in the area. So in addition to serving your residents who need to live there, it's going to benefit your residents who already live in the surrounding area by creating a visually attractive, walkable amenity in the community. So your approval criteria per your code for the zoning map amendment is that this be found to be in accordance with the comprehensive plan and the land use plan as adopted by the township trustees. And as I've just explained, this project fulfills several of your goals and objectives of your comprehensive plan. We've also shown that this zoning is necessary to permit the use because there is no clean fit within the zoning code for a senior housing community of this size. And for that reason, the planned development district is the appropriate zoning classification, and that is the justification for the zone map amendment that we're proposing. The preliminary development plan has several criteria articulated in your code. And just reading through the list, which you have in front of you, again, the preliminary development plan must be consistent with the land use plan and the comprehensive plan of the township. The proposed use needs to have a beneficial impact on the community. The criteria 3 is not applicable. We're not going to have any streets or secondary roads within this project. This site will be accessible from public roads. We're going to have open space on the site in compliance with the code requirements and in excess of the code requirements, frankly, given the large size of this parcel that we're going to develop on. The preliminary development plan must be consistent with the intent and purpose of the zoning resolution and the purpose of the PD district, which, as I articulated, is the case here. And staff has done a very good job of transmitting the plan to all of the other agencies and departments responsible for reviewing it in the township. Site impacts. Here's some photos of that vegetative buffer I mentioned, and these are taken when we applied, which is in February of this year. So you can see that the tree cover, the foliage is not out in the way it is now, but nevertheless, you can see how densely wooded the site is currently. And as I mentioned, we're going to preserve that buffer around the building with these trees. I also mentioned this earlier, but the traffic, which is always a concern with new development, this use, senior housing in particular, assisted living and memory care, is one of the lowest traffic generating uses out there because these residents do not drive. These are residents that need medical care. They cannot live alone any longer, and so they are not out and about in the community driving their own vehicles. There will be some new jobs created, and that will generate some traffic. However, in comparison with other uses, This is one of the lowest traffic generating uses that are calculated in the Institute of Transportation Engineers data that they produce. There's also no impact on schools, as no school-age children will reside in this community. Emergency services is an interesting issue because these are residents who do have medical needs. However, data finds that by putting these residents in communities where you have community managers trained to evaluate them, you can actually reduce the total number of EMS calls that are needed to service your existing residents in the community. So when there's a fall, they're not immediately calling 911. There's someone there to evaluate the situation and determine if EMS is needed to help. And so while there certainly will be EMS calls at a community like this, the overall impact on the EMS service within the township is not to overburden it, but actually to lessen it because of the ability to evaluate those situations and eliminate unnecessary calls. We had a neighborhood meeting for this project in February. We invited all property owners within 200 feet of the site. They were very supportive of the project. We didn't get any opposition to the project. There were certainly good questions that some of the residents had regarding the building design and traffic and the buffer and things of that nature. But we found residents to be very supportive of the project, and we were excited to get that feedback. So that concludes our presentation. I'm available for any questions you may have. David is also available, and again, once again, we are very excited to bring this project to Colerain Township, and we thank you for your time and your consideration.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Can we ask questions now?
When we bring it,
Okay, you want to bring it up later?
when we bring it, the resolution, yeah.
Okay, when we bring
This is on later in the agenda
yeah,
for a vote.
we might have you back up here. Okay. Okay, you want to close the public hearing?
Are there any more?
There's nobody else to speak for this public hearing?
If so, I motion to close public hearing CZC-24-2 zoning map amendment requiring a preliminary development plan for 9328 Pippin Road.
I will second Matt's motion.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay, well, that brings us to citizens' address. And if I don't call you, if you have one out there, please let me know if you filled one out later. So with first person up, David Morvick.
Thank you. I'm Dave Morvek, the president of the Colerain Chamber of Commerce. I don't come before this group very often, and I'm going to be really brief tonight. First off, I want to thank you for your support of the flyer that I have in front of me. I'd like to provide them to the citizens in the room if that's okay, but I'd like your approval before I do so. We put this together over a 4-month period in conjunction with the township and with the Northwest local school districts. It was originally scheduled to be 16 pages. We were able to make it 24 pages because of the support. We had 16 advertisers from as large as Rumpke to as small as Doris Gibbons Insurance Agency, which has 1 employee. So we felt like we were representative of the township in a very creative way. We've not been able to put together a program like this in a long time. The articles provide a list of the events that are going on through the spring and summer across the community, both through the chamber and through the township. And again, I've just really appreciated the support of the staff here at the township and the folks at the Northwest Local School District. Jeff's pictures on the inside cover, along with myself and Daryl Yater from Superintendent of Schools. And I wanted to present that to you as the last time I was here, we had it available in electronic form. We now have it available in paper form. It will be available in the CVS pharmacy here locally in the drop bins that they have in their entrance. And I have some copies that I'm distributing out to the businesses in the area. If you've subscribed to the Cincy magazine, you'll get a copy, and it's available, like I said, electronically at cincmagazine.com. Our signature event for the summer is the Hometown Hero, and we will be having 15 senior veterans that are going to be supported and lifted up this year. Most of them have come as a result of the relationships that we have with the senior living facilities that are currently in our chamber. Having not heard the presentation here before, it was before us just a minute ago, we've got great relationships with Northgate Park and with Burlington House and many other senior services organizations that are in Colerain Township or adjacent to Colerain Township, and we thought it was good to recognize them as part of our Hometown Heroes. So that's June 13th coming up. And one last thing, I saw Ned in the room. For those that don't know, I wrote a fictionalized business inspirational novel called Echoes Across the Tracks. We have I have a book signing and reading next Thursday, thank you, Ned, at the Groesbeck Public Library from 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock. Anybody wants to come out, I will sign books and be talking about the 4-month process of writing a book as a first-time author.
Congratulations.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great work on this. It looks great.
Well, there's one issue I have to bring up. Chief Walls, you might want to have a bunch of copies because there's firemen in here, but I didn't see any police. Just saying.
They made their way to the cutting room floor. That was not my editing.
Just stirring the pot.
Is it okay that I share them with anybody that wants one? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next person up, Nicholas Wiseman.
Madam President, since we have a number of new citizen comments, perhaps if you go over the
Okay,
process.
okay, our process of what you guys get to talk for 5 minutes. You'll see the buzzer will go off. You can ask questions, but we're not going to answer any questions during your citizen's address. We'll address them if somebody wants to address them in their administrative report, if they have the information there at that time, or it will be answered at the next meeting. Okay? So your 5 minutes, go ahead.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, board. My name is Nicholas Wiseman, and this is Mason Cornwell.
Hi, Mason.
We are students at Stephen T. Baden High School, and for a school project, we were tasked with participating in our local government. So we decided to address an issue that was personally close to me. That is the intersection of Springdale Road and Harrison Avenue.
Hello, my name is Mason Cornwell, just as Nick stated. On that intersection between Springdale and Harrison, there has been 23 crashes in the last 5 years with failure to give right of way at that intersection. And by comparison, in the intersection between Sheed and Harrison, there has been no crashes in the last 5 years. And the difference between those two intersections is that between Sheed and Harrison Avenue, there is a light, and there's a light, and between Springdale and Harrison, there is not a light for that intersection.
So what is our general idea for why we're here? So our idea is that there should be some sort of installation of a traffic light at the intersection of Springdale Road and Harrison Avenue. So we have, from our research, that a typical T intersection, a traffic light costs around $300,000 to $500,000 and takes up to 2 years to build. Now, that does not seem like that much to help reduce crashes and help potentially save lives. Some benefits of the installation would be that it would reduce wait times for people waiting on the hill, and as a result, reduce the risk of a crash due to brake failures, because that hill is very steep. It is not fun to walk up either. It would reduce crashes in general, because as we have seen with Sheed Road, a traffic light helps to reduce the crashes there. It would also help the students, churchgoers, and fairgoers at the bottom of the hill to maintain a safer state as they potentially cross the road or use that intersection, as there is less risk of a car randomly pulling out and all that sort of stuff. And with the new construction along at the end of Blue Rock Connector, there might be more traffic along Springdale Road and as a result at the intersection of Springdale and Harrison. And as a result, a traffic light there would help to manage traffic and reduce the potentially increased rate of crashes there. Thank you for your time. If you all have any questions, we would be glad to answer them. Don't really know how this works.
Thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
tonight.
Great job, gentlemen, and I'm sure Mr. Weckbach will address that in his administrative report, so if you just hold tight. But you guys did a fantastic job.
Thank you. Okay, next up, John Fisher.
I already spoke with Tiffany. I don't think there's a need to.
I'm putting a big old X on you, right? Okay. I just put an
I don't
X.
think we need to put an X on them, but
That you're not speaking. Okay, I'm just teasing you.
you're good.
You don't have to come up.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, Joseph Harris.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening, trustees. My name is Joseph Harris. My siblings and I are asking for assistance. There's an abundance of brush behind our home that is harboring illicit activities on 8164 Blanchetta and 8154 Blanchetta. And it's right between the Mill Creek and our home. And that's pretty much it.
I'm sorry, could you repeat those just?
8164 Blanchetta and 8154 Blanchetta.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Okay.
And if you leave your information with Mr. Weckbach, phone
have-
number,
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
thank you.
Kaylin Knobs. Go right ahead, you're not hurting my.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is obviously Kayla. I am coming to you guys. I have been a resident of Thompson Road.
Can you come to the?
I'm
No, they come
Because I'm
close to the
too
mic.
close or
Thank
too
you,
far?
thank you. No, you're good.
But I've been a resident of Thompson Road for 6+ years now. And I want to say it started maybe like 8 weeks ago. The trash used to be picked up like after 8 a.m., which is the sound ordinance time. But as of like 8 weeks ago, it started getting picked up at 6 a.m. at my house. And as of 2 weeks ago, after I had not only called Rumpke and had it not been addressed, but called the police station and was told they couldn't address it because the contract that the county or that the township has with Rumpke says that despite the sound ordinance being at 8 a.m., they can start their services at 6 a.m. I do know that they start before that because upon talking to the man who collects the trash, he said that he starts at the far end of Thompson, the most rural spot of it, and ends at the fire station side. And he gets to my house, which is just before the fire station, like right before the larger neighborhood at that end. He starts at the far end and gets to my house at 6 a.m. But I'm sure I'm not the only one, being that I'm probably the youngest on my street, chronic pain issues that keep me up through many nights. And getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning because of the loud disturbance of the trash being collected may sound like no big deal, but it is quite an impact. I know that I cannot be the only person who is disturbed by this, so I am hoping that we can potentially look at amending the contract to reflect the sound ordinance time, as it is a loud issue, and that moving forward, it may be able to start at 8 a.m. and on, so as to avoid that disturbance for the residents. And I am open if anybody has any questions for me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Alan Reeves.
Good evening.
Good evening. Excuse me. My name is Alan Reeves. I live at 3738 Pool Road here in Colerain Township. I've been here for 84 of the 85 years that I've lived, so I'm an old-time Colerain resident. All right? I've lived at Pool Road for 65 years. I have some questions and comments about the school situation here in Colerain Township. The reason I'm here is I think some of these questions affect you people, all right? I'd like to know who owns the buildings that the schools are in. Is that not the township that owns those buildings?
It's the school district.
It's a school district.
I'm sorry?
It's the Northwest Local School District owns all the school buildings.
We're supposed to.
Does that mean that the property owners are, through taxes, are the actual owners of the buildings? I'm not saying that exactly the way I mean. As taxpayers, we have paid for those buildings. The township schools own the buildings, okay, fine. I think it's ludicrous that we're tearing down 3 buildings that could very easily be converted into very nice apartments or rooms for the elderly people in this township. And I'm sorry, guys, but I just happened to step in and you guys were here. It's terrible. I pulled down Springdale Road to Pool Road to Springdale this morning, and I see them putting up fence, and I say, why are we not going to use these buildings? Granted, it's going to take a lot of tender loving care to put these buildings in a shape for apartments or rooms for the elderly people. That's a heck of a lot cheaper, in my opinion, than building new buildings and tearing down the old buildings. Another issue is we're tearing down 3 buildings. I'm sorry, it's 4 actually. We're tearing down 4 buildings. Why don't we just consolidate and build all the schools, the elementary, junior high school, and senior high school on one piece of property? You'd cut down on bus fares, you'd cut down on traffic, it just doesn't make sense for me to put a high school here, put a grade school over on Banning Road, and put another school in another location, an elementary school back here. It seems like we're wasting a lot of money in construction costs. Does anybody have any question on what I'm pointing out here? Does this have any? Does this hit home with anybody? Were you people involved in the decision to tear these buildings down? Were you aware of it?
We'll answer in our trustee report. We'll answer in the administrative and trustee report.
We were not, as again, property owners, we were not involved in this at all. Granted, we have a school board that we voted in, but I think it was handled very poorly. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Okay. Always good to see Ned come up here. Find out more interesting wonders that he works.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm Ned Heger-Brem from the Groesbeck Branch Library down at Colerain and Galbraith. Please come down and see us. I just want to talk about a couple things real quickly, starting off with summer reading. I don't know if anybody was in their summer reading program when they were a kid at their library. I certainly was, and it was a good time. It starts June 1st. So I just want to give a plug to it. It's super easy to sign up. Children and teens stop by the library. Well, they'll get a free book. and a challenge sheet to track their reading over the summer. They'll also get a voucher for 2 Reds tickets while supplies last. The goal is to motivate kids and teens to continue reading over the summer with the hope that their reading skills will be maintained or even grown while they are not in school by reading books that they enjoy. The library is very committed to the goal of improving reading proficiency, which I think we can all agree is not as high as it should be, and we want to help parents help their children do that by giving them prizes. Kids 12 and under will get credit for reading 20 plus minutes a day, and studies show that reading a child reading 20 or 30 minutes a day makes profound difference. And I think you can get credit for coming and hearing Dave read actually to you from his book on May the 23rd from 6 till 9. Anyway, but the kids, it probably won't be the kids. Anyway, the kids, once they reach 25 days of reading, they can come back to the library to pick out a prize. Teens 13 to 18 will have a bingo card of activities to encourage them to read, and they get to pick out a prize once they achieve 5 in a row bingo. Everyone has till July 31st to complete the program, so let's get everybody involved in that. I do want to talk about something new at the library. In April, library branches in the city of Cincinnati began giving out free gun locks provided through Moms Demand Actions, I'm not saying that right, Moms Demand Actions Be Smart program. And I just want to say thanks to our wonderful partners at the Colerain Police Department, even though they're not featured in photos in the new magazine.
Sorry.
Groesbeck and North Central branches are now the first 2 Hamilton County branches outside the city to also be able to give them out. We are hoping at the library that other communities will follow Colerain's lead and help expand this program even more so. Hats off to the police department for leading the way in Hamilton County suburbs. Last thing, I just want to put a reminder, which I always do, about free lunches at the library. They'll be starting with when kids get out for summer break. So if you're under 18 or under and you need a free lunch, or you know somebody needs a free lunch, please send them our way. Monday through Friday, 12:30 to 1. We don't want any kids going hungry. We're going to nourish their bellies and nourish their minds. So thank you so much.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Now, anybody else need to come up for citizens' address? Okay. Okay, now we'll move on to administrative reports.
Thank you, Board. And to kick off administrative reports, we will ask Fire Chief Alan Walls to come to the dais.
Evening, Chief.
Good evening to the board and everyone in attendance. I just wanted to say we love our library. and
we love
Anyhow, I'd like to give my administrative report for April of 2024. We had 760 EMS incidents. There were 178 fire incidents. We made 25 responses into the Springfield Township Pleasant Run EMS contract area and 1 response into the West College Hill Golfway EMS contract area. We had 2 significant building fires, one in the 11,700 block of Hamilton Avenue with a $30,000 loss, and one in the 10,100 block of Spirit Knoll with a $150,000 loss. Property value lost for the month was $180,000. Saved was $572,640. For the year, we have lost $477,000, but saved $10.1 million with an 86.27% save rate. Our average response time for the arrival of the first unit is 5 minutes and 17 seconds. And first unit on scene less than 6 minutes was 70.12%. And that's my report, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Alan, I didn't want to put you on the spot, but next week is EMS week.
Next week is EMS week. We will be recognizing our new community paramedic, Chelsea Gehring, for her work in community paramedicine over the last year.
Chief, I don't know if this is the appropriate time to bring it up, but you and I had kind of a back and forth with Mr. Weck back here about the plans for 9328 Pippin. And one of the concerns that I did have were the new calls for service, which the gentleman mentioned. And you gave me some figures with that and some estimates. Can you go over that so that we have that as background as we discuss their proposal? Or
sure. So we looked at our responses last year to Sanctuary Point, Atria Northgate, Home at Taylor's Point, Veranda Gardens, Liberty Nursing Center, Triple Creek Retirement, and Blue Rock Senior Living. Those in particular, last year we averaged 149 responses across the board to those facilities. Atria Northgate, the only single-use assisted living facility, we made 201 responses. So will there be additional calls for service? Absolutely. Can I tell you it'll be 149? Could I tell you it'll be 200? It depends. I agree that with, staff on the site, they'll be able to triage appropriately. Most of you know that my mother lives in an assisted living facility here in the township, Northgate Park. So they do a relatively good job there of trying to triage appropriately, as I am sure they will there as well, to minimize that. But, obviously, they're not going to necessarily put anything from a liability standpoint on their backs in respect to not calling us. So there will be additional calls for service. But as we discussed likewise, with the strategic realignment of Station 102, that'll take some of the workload off of Station 25. So the additional calls that they may take with the new facility will probably still be to the negative in respect to what Station 102 will be picking up for Station 25.
So that what we discussed, that they're really, predictions are predictions, but you've been doing this a long time, and you've got a lot of data points, a lot of different data points to look at, that we wouldn't anticipate a staffing increase at either of the stations.
No.
And that many of these would be billable to Medicare. Many of the responses.
Medicare, Medicaid, commercial insurance, whatever the residents may have. That's
so.
correct.
If we're talking about, is this revenue negative, revenue neutral, revenue positive? It's quite likely it would be revenue positive for fire EMS, right?
That's correct. We would see some sort of an uptick then in our EMS billing revenue.
And that would be without any kind of TIF or changes in tax. I just want to make that clear, because I think once you start talking about a 4-story, 118 unit, people think, oh my gosh, and I know my mom lives in a retirement home, and the ambulance is there three or four times a week. In this case, it may even be part of the reason they selected that land is the fact that we have strategically relocated the fire station so that we'll get 70% of the calls in less than 6 minutes. Is that what you said? Yep. And and I think that's kind of a moral duty too. Is one thing that bothered me from COVID is we just seem to throw away a generation, and this is a situation where we can be revenue positive and also help people at the same time. That kind of stuff doesn't come around very often. So I just wanted to get those numbers out. I don't know if it was appropriate to do it now or when we discuss the presentation, but thank you for doing that back research for me and get me some numbers I can crunch.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. Any other questions?
No.
All right. Thank you.
Next report will be presented by Police Chief Ed Cordy.
Sorry.
We're too busy handling calls. That's fine.
Yeah, that's a mic drop there.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
All right, for April, the police department responded to 3,768 calls for service. It's 126 per day on average. That's a 6% increase from last year at April, and it's still a 6% increase for the year. We're already 1,000 calls over where we were last year at this time. For the month, we conducted 452 traffic stops, handled 114 crash reports, 136 arrests. As you see on the slide up there, the massive increase in the traffic stops compared to where they were in the last 5 years. It's the importance of having proactive policing and an impact unit that can get out there and do these things. For the month of April, we made 11 OVI arrests. We had 4 uses of force, being 2 pepper ball deployments, 1 taser deployment, 1 takedown. 2 vehicle pursuits, and 2 internal investigations. Busiest day of the week, Tuesday, followed by Monday, and we were once again busy between 10 a.m. and midnight with a spike at 6 a.m. Code enforcement, we had 319 violations, 372 inspections, 82 closed violations, 3 referred to housing court, 5 total abatements. Property maintenance, 38, zoning violations, 41. ECU, officer side, 2 litter complaints, 21 abandoned vehicles, 6 towed vehicles, 20 parking complaints, and 30 interactions with the public. Impact stats are back up for the month. 50 traffic stops, 15 felony charges, 23 misdemeanor charges, 6 felony warrants, 15 misdemeanor warrants, 12 traffic warrants. They seized 1,229 grams of marijuana, 24 grams of meth, 17.5 grams of fentanyl, 15 pressed pills of fentanyl, 27 grams of mushroom, 2 grams of cocaine, 4 firearms, towed 18 vehicles, recovered 2 stolen vehicles, while assisting with the road 127 details. For the month, we received notification that we're selected for a $30,000 grant in federal traffic safety funding. With this funding, where officers are able to conduct additional traffic stops to focus on seat belts, impaired driving, motorcycle safety, and youthful drivers. Just a thanks to Traffic Safety Officer Jess Meyer for working on that and helping us get that grant. This will continue to help us focus on our overall traffic safety while we're faced with this budgetary crisis. A little update on the police department. We're still at 60 officers. We know departments are actively and openly recruiting our officers. I've had over half a dozen departments reach out to me trying to suggest officers that they could take from our department, and that's just the ones that's calling me. I couldn't imagine how many they're receiving as well. For us, it is National Police Week. Tomorrow is the Memorial Day for police officers, where we focus on the importance of those that have gone before us and laid down their lives while doing this job. That's what I have. Is any questions for me?
No, just a compliment. Great work.
We're trying.
Keep up the great work. We've talked before about this and talked privately. I don't know. I've become focused on the fentanyl numbers, and we flew past last year's seizures, and another 17.5 grams seized. This is one of the things that keeps me up at night as a teacher and as a trustee, the amount of fentanyl. Are these Colerain residents typically, or are they transiting through Colerain?
I'd have to look at the data to tell you that, but historically, it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
So you said when you confiscated 57 grams over last year, that could kill 70,000 people, and was that?
Yeah, I gave that stat.
Yeah. And then now we're up to 17 already this year.
17 this month, and with 15 pressed pills as well.
Yeah, for this year, we're probably 60, 70 grams of fentanyl at least.
Yeah, and we're already over what we did last year.
Yeah. I mean, we've taken enough fentanyl to kill
probably now 100 people.
100,000 people, yeah.
If you notice, I did not mention heroin.
Oh,
Right.
Interesting.
But for some reason, mushrooms are popular again. I don't.
It's all meth and fentanyl.
Mm-hmm.
But the fentanyl is so concerning because people are ingesting it oftentimes that don't know they're ingesting it because it might be left over on a table where people cut drugs, or it might be put in to give that drug that extra spike, and people are dying from it. It's the leading age of death for males, I think 18 to 28 years old. And it's, I'm scared to death these numbers keep going up. But keep up the good work and keep taking it off the streets. How do you even store this? Because some of this you can't touch, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have protocols that are put in place. We have gloves that our officers use, the same as the fire department, that we just make sure that we have that. We have kits all over the place for overdoses and such like that. I mean, but again, this is stats from the impact team. Without having a proactive unit like this, all of this would be out there in our community and not have been stopped or been pulled off the streets.
Right.
Now, can I ask you, Narcan does not work on fentanyl overdoses, does it? Or just, it does. It does. So, okay, I thought it was really for heroin and.
But I think sometimes it might need multiple.
You might need a couple hits of it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just double checking. That's what I was hearing, that Narcan's not working on some of the.
And I think most schools don't advertise it, but have Narcan on their campuses, most high schools and middle schools and junior highs for that reason, because, regular weed is being laced with fentanyl to make it more appealing to kids, to get them hooked to it. And it's just killing people, and it's necessary to have on campus.
I just wanted to make one other comment about Police Memorial Week. Earlier in my life, I used to have a reason to go to Euclid, Ohio for a business reason, and it's very sad and tragic. And for those up in the other half of the state, that we want you to know that here in Colerain Township, you certainly have our sympathy on the loss of Officer Jacob Durbin. That's horrible. For those that don't know, he's a 23-year-old responding to a domestic violence call.
He came in as a disturbance and he was ambushed.
Yeah, that can happen here, or there, or anywhere, and even though it's a couple 100 miles up the road, it's very relevant. So I hope all of our men and women are as careful as they can be when they're out running around.
Yeah, that happened a couple days ago, and then the day after, a Columbus officer was actually shot, but luckily their vest was stopped the round.
Oh, very dangerous work.
So.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
Next administrative report will be presented by Assistant Administrator Mays.
And you're not in here either.
I've been in other magazines. We're okay with that. Okay, so first I'd like to say that we were planning a ribbon cutting today for Skyline Park, but due to the weather, we've postponed that to June 11th at 5 p.m. And the address for that location is 8400 Pippin Road. So please join us if you can. Hopefully June will give us better weather. We are also having another ribbon cutting for another new playground. We are just now finalizing on May 28th at 5 p.m. at Colerain Park. So it'll be exciting. That's in 2 weeks. And then as for our dashboard numbers for the month of March, we've got our Clippard Park. Our park numbers are low for Heritage and Clippard. Our counters went down. So we were expecting higher numbers with the eclipse because of the crowds we were seeing, but unfortunately we didn't get to capture those because of our counters. So for our Clippard Park, we had 5,828 vehicles drive into the park. Heritage Park, we had 6,048 vehicles come in for the month, and then Colerain Park, we had 5,248 for the month. And then just as a note, as I always mention, that these are vehicles that are entering the park, so that doesn't count the people that are in those vehicles or the people that come in through alternative transportation, such as bicycles or even on feet. So the litter program, we picked up 58 bags of trash and 20 shopping carts. So they were pretty busy this month. So I believe I wanted to address the Springdale Harrison presentation and say thank you to the two gentlemen that came to present that. Unfortunately, but fortunately, those are county roads. So as a township, the best that we can do is make a recommendation to the county to hear what they're proposing and support that proposal. That's all.
Tiffany, to that end, that particular topic came up in September of 2022. And I do have a nice written answer that Mr. Weckbach had composed at the time. It explains that, if that helps you with your classwork, whatever your go to a government meeting work is. So I do have that for you if we can get that to you somehow.
I'm sorry, I thought you were finished.
Oh no, Matt, you know all about. Matt's a high school teacher, and he deals with your demographic.
And actually, I had somebody stop by my homeroom and say, where that mirror used to be, on Sheet and Gaines. Please get that back up again.
You need it.
I've almost been crushed 4 or 5 times. So that's obviously a county thing. Can we light a fire under them to get that moving?
So just for background, residents contact me quite a bit about this intersection. I usually pass it along to the appropriate folks at the county, and the county has not shown an interest at this point in time to put a traffic light in there.
No, I'm talking about the mirror.
The mirror. It's same thing. We continue to pass the message along, and it's at their discretion if they.
Can I buy you a mirror and we'll put it up there?
We could, but they can then turn around and take it down if they want to.
Granger has them. They're about $95 because I've bought them before.
Where are they?
Granger.
Okay.
And then not to take away from EMS week, but I think next week is Public Works week, so it's just all kinds of fun weeks in the month of May celebrating our employees. I mean, between Police Week, EMS Week, and Public Works Week, you're looking at probably 80 to 90% of our workforce. So please thank our folks, and if you see lights on the side of the road, whether they be a fire truck, police cruiser, or Public Works vehicle, please drive slow and give them plenty of space while they're doing their work.
Yes. Thank you.
The next administrative report will come from David Miller in the Development Department.
Thank you.
Great job, fellas. Thanks for coming out. You did a fantastic presentation.
All right, so planning and zoning, as I had mentioned last few months, numbers had been a little bit lower, and as you would expect, the numbers are increasing. For April, we had a total of 69 applications that we processed, 59 of those in residential area. The vast majority of those are fences. We had 7 new homes. That's exciting. So permits for single families going up, and then interesting, 7 new solar projects. We had 10 non-residential certificates, so that would be businesses with ground signs and with interior alterations. And so there's breakdown for you on some the sheets on the back pages. And then I thought it was interesting note that the days that the certificates applications are open over January, February, March, and April has continued to go down. So there's been a steady decline. I know our planners are really working hard to drive down those numbers so they get the turnaround quicker. So I was pleased to see that on the chart. So any questions that you have?
I just wanted to point out real quickly for the board that year to date, that's what the graph on the left is, we're at the highest that we've seen in the township through the first 4 months of the year. So it's looking like we've got another record year ahead of us.
We had 2 cases in front of the Board of Zoning Appeals and 1 in front of the Zoning Commission. Next week, we will have 5 cases in front of BZA and 2 in the Zoning Commission. So that's it'll be a busy week next week with our 2 boards.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And for my administrative report, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, even though it's a little belated at this point. In terms of some of the comments from earlier, I think we addressed the county engineer question. Northwest Local School District actually owns all of those schools, and their master facility plan, I think, is what was being referenced. I believe there's a state requirement that they have that sort of document filed with them. And they went through their most recent update, which contemplated different closures, consolidations, what have you, of schools. You all as a board have no say in that process unless there's a zoning change somehow associated with that. So that'd be the only time that would come before you, but I don't know that there's any imminent action pending on any of those proposals. So just for folks in the audience and watching online. And then in terms of other items, the trash issue is certainly something that the board can consider as you all look at that contract when that's up for renewal. We do have timeframes in there that are built in based off of residential streets versus main collector streets and when Rumpke's able to be there to collect trash. I don't know exactly what those times are off the top of my head, but that is something that we can consider for future contracts. And that is the end of administrative reports.
Okay, now we go to the trustee reports. Who wants to go first? There you go.
Mine will be short. I give out my cell phone number at meetings, and I'll give it out again. It's 513-404-3057. I do appreciate people that reach out with issues. A lot of them I forward off to Mr. Weckbach. Just a couple of things I've looked at lately and would include out on Generation Drive near Colerain Avenue. There's a nice lamp there that has been knocked down 3 or 4 times, and it's down right now. I did get a call about, I guess yesterday afternoon around 4 o'clock, ODOT or somebody was out working on Colerain Avenue at Round Top trying to correct, I guess, timing issues with that light.
Yeah, it was at 5 o'clock, yeah.
They made a notification on the news.
This citizen, I actually talked to him today, and he was irate, and I said I would bring it up, and I'm not passing this off, but that Colerain Avenue is controlled by ODOT, and they should, he suggested they should come out at night to recalibrate the lights, but apparently there was a 20-minute backup there yesterday. Been out, looked at several tall grass complaints. There's a new development on Houston Road that's got some elevation and drainage issues that I did go out and meet with a couple citizens over there. And then 2 weeks ago, it was a very nice rainy Saturday, and congratulations to the folks out at Northbrook and a couple of them who donated their vehicles to run around and pick up various things. And I got to ride around with Mike Evangelo and Mr. Weckbach, and we picked up whatever it was people needed to have taken away, and there was some large 30-yard dumpsters there, and we did a little bit of Northbrook cleanup. There was quite a bit of rain that day, and just thanks to everybody in the community that organizes these things and makes it happen, because it does make a big difference. And and this is right across the street from where your development is, so it's a lot of people that really want to make the neighborhood better every day. So, and we'll look forward to your participation in the donations or whatever in the coming years, because you're a target and you're sitting right there, and of course I'm going to bring that up. So that's all I have, Kathy.
I'm real short.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, Mr. Reeves just left, and I wanted to let him know Beavis Elementary was sold, and we have a condominium development going there, 99 homes.
I think it's 99 townhomes. That's
Yeah,
looking to be
so,
built there.
I mean, what he's saying can work, but that was already torn down. Mine's short for everybody out in TV land. We need sponsors. There we got maybe sponsors. Our 4th of July, on the 3rd of July fireworks. This year, we still have plenty of rooms for sponsors, and we are going to be serving alcohol, beer and wine spirits, I guess, or seltzers, thank you. So anyway, please come and join the festivities. And the Metro people, I don't know if the Metro people can even bring people there. They could be for their $2. Oh, they left the building. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to concentrate on one topic here that I've gotten a number of emails and feedback about, the flocks, which, as you recall, the flock cameras came up, I would say probably about a year ago, and I was one of the no votes. And I just wanted to kind of go over some of my thoughts again on the flocks. And really, they go into 2 categories. We have a number of HOAs that want them, which I think are a little bit different because that's so micro of a unit, and I think that that right now that they're their best to talk to you on it. Is that right? If they,
I think what I would prefer is if an HOA has interest that they discuss that with us, but there would be some things that, whether it's an MOU or something to that effect, that before we as an administration would take any action, we'd bring back before the board.
Okay, and the ones that, buying them or renting them fully for the township, first off, the cost of them at $1,800 to $2,000 a month, I think, is that somewhere?
It's per year.
Per year, and then, but to monitor it is, or okay. Okay. I mean, at this point, the budget is locked down, but the problem with flocks is that it's a private company. The constitutional protections that we have, and I'm no lawyer, but I've taught enough government class to know that the Constitution protects us from government action, not exactly from action of private actors. Flocks say they're going to delete the footage every 30 days. but there's nothing, absolutely zero in law that requires them to do that. And what happens when sales go down and they can monetize that? One of my biggest complaints about education was when we went to one-to-one. Everybody got a computer or a laptop, and everybody said, let's use Google, it's free. And now Google's been tracking our kids for 12 years. And I just think they have every bit of information. The most valuable form of one of the most valuable commodities now is information and the cyber information. Would the flock stuff be a public record? I think we would probably need a whole new public records unit to deal with that. In Niles, Ohio, in the month of January, they took 1.9 million plates. And what happens to this is they get added to a nationwide network. So I hear from a lot of people, well, you're on camera all the time. Well, yeah, I'm on, your Ring doorbell, or I'm on Walmart's camera, but those aren't integrated into one big system where you can look through and go on sometimes often on a fishing expedition. And this data is held through the private company. And Chief will probably tell you about 5 or 6 years ago, we had a scare. It was a bigger scare in North College Hill than it was in Colerain. But the data company that kept the police records lost them all. And then I think they probably went bankrupt after that. Where does this stuff go? Well, there are examples. Verkada was a security company that tapped into customers' cameras to get data. Ring gave employees access to every Ring camera. Google, Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, they access data to improve their AI methods. One study found that 10% of the flock plates are misidentified, and then they compare it to the FBI database, which is notoriously inaccurate. And it's interesting because federal law requires if you're going to do this, you need to be accurate, you need to be relevant, timely, and you need to be complete, which is fine, but the FBI exempted itself from that law. Plates are run about 500 million times a month, so you're going to have a greater chance of errors. And they really already do more than just read license plates. They now have what's called a searchable vehicle fingerprint to look for a specific type versus just a plate. They now have convoy analysis that if you're in the proximity of someone else multiple times, you're now associated with that. They have the Raven part of the system, which picks up sound, which at the right level, if it picks up sounds, it could pick up a conversation, and now we're talking about wiretapping. And I know that a lot of this to some of you sound like, really, is it really going to go that far? There have just looked at history at what's happened when the government's gone unchecked on this kind of stuff, all the way from, J. Edgar Hoover following Dr. King around to Tea Party activists getting their IRS things pulled. The final points I want to make about this, and I realize that people say, well, it brings security, but you give up so much for that security. If the Supreme Court started tracking a vehicle with GPS, even if it's only 28 days, that's a Fourth Amendment search, and they need to get a warrant to do that. The flock cameras don't. And after 30 days, the fact that they're going to maybe erase them, I don't know. It also leads to, it concerns me as to who controls it. If it's flock footage from Colerain that goes into a massive database, does somebody to quote a song that somebody showed me last week, I was a little late on the pickup, to some rich man north of Richmond, control that, and what, what does that mean? Even if the police want 7 days of our historical cell phone locations, they need to get a warrant. Flock doesn't need any of that. The government's restrained by the Fourth Amendment. Flock is not. And, it's still not clear if they can or will share them with third parties willingly, or if they get hacked into. So we've seen a number of positive Flock stories in the papers because Flock does PR really well. They send people out to communities and say how great their system is. But the goal of their system, if you look at Flock's website, is to have an integrated system that of cameras that connects throughout the country. Now think about that in whether you go to the right church, go to the right political event, or go to the PTA meeting and question your school board, or if you come to a trustee meeting and question your trustees. That all puts a chilling effect on that. And now that said, if for individual HOAs, that's a little bit of a different story. HOAs have sets of rules that govern, and if that's something that they can work out, that's fine. But as far as putting the Flock cameras, and I've gotten a number of people that want them, believing that that it's going to be this solution to all these problems. And I'm reminded of in graduate school, I sat on a board that did presentation about the effort to democratize in Uzbekistan, and I know that's a pretty specific panel topic, but one of the students from Uzbekistan came with a public opinion poll, and they said they really want democracy, but when asked what democracy looks like, the number one thing that people checked was security. Security and democracy are not. I mean, they're at odds because we can make everything as secure as we want by taking away individual rights, and that's my concern. My concern is, as it reads in Exodus, now there arose up a king over Egypt which knew not Joseph, that doesn't know that our Constitution and the constitutional protections we're afforded as individual citizens. I know it seems like Flock is an answer every time somebody gets picked up, but you don't hear about the times that it misfires. And again, if you have it in your house, your HOA, your business, that's your property. But, for one, I don't want to be picked up everywhere I go in a series of interactive cameras that are national. So that is a little bit of the reason why, and I know that through emails I said, hey, listen to my report, and I'll answer everybody at once with this because I got so many. And it's not that I don't want to keep people safe, and it's not that I don't want to solve crime. It's that I don't want to give away those rights because once they're given away, they never come back. And that'll be my report.
Okay, move on to new business.
Thank you, Board. The first items of new business will be presented by Chief Ed Cordy tonight.
Welcome back, Chief. Sorry about my anti-Flock.
I just stepped out and I walked in and we were talking about the Fourth Amendment. I was wondering what I was missing.
Yeah, I waited till you left.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we got multiple things here for you. So let's start with item A, resolution declaring nuisance and ordering abatement. This resolution allows for the removal of uncontrolled vegetation and or refuge at the following properties: 2930 Aries Court, 2988 Aries Court, 2458 Birthbrook Drive, 8647 Colerain Avenue, 9189 Colerain Avenue, 5340 Desert Gold Drive, 2504 Havernold Drive, 2778 Hazelton Court, 2832 John Rose Avenue, 9585 Laura Linda Drive, 2514 Mariposa Street, 2566 Meriview Lane, 2475 Roosevelt, 2491 Roosevelt, 10237 Spring Knob Court, and 3980 Woodthrush Drive. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion we approve the resolution declaring nuisance and ordering abatement at the addresses listed by Chief.
I'll second.
Ms. Orch?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay, item B, resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 3183 Lapland Drive. At that address, there is a unknown year blue and silver boat. No license plate. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion that we approve the resolution declaring the vehicle located at 3183 Lapland Drive as a junk motor vehicle, and it is a boat.
I'll second that.
Ms. Orch?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item C, resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 3280 Warfield Drive. At that address, there is a 2003 blue Dodge Dakota. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion we approve the resolution declaring the vehicle located at 3280 Warfield Drive as a junk motor vehicle.
I'll second.
Ms. Orch?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item D, resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 6948 Kelway Court. At that address, there's two vehicles, the first being a 2006 blue Jeep Liberty, the second being a 2006 blue Ford F-150. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion we adopt the resolution declaring vehicles located at 6948 Kelway Court as junk motor vehicles. There are two of them.
I'll second.
Ms. Orch?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item E, resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 9098 Pippin Road. At this address, there are three vehicles: 2012 black Chevrolet Malibu, 2011 black Honda Accord, 2012 white and black Honda Cross Tour. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion that we approve the resolution declaring the three vehicles located at 9098 Pippin Road as junk motor vehicles.
Second.
No, you're fine.
Ms. Orch?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item F and G are the same address but different parcels. Starting with item F, resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 9391 Pippin Road. At this address, there's two vehicles, a 2014 black Jeep Compass and a 2013 gray Honda Civic. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion we approve the resolution declaring the two vehicles located at 9391 Pippin Road as junk motor vehicles, parcel ID 510-0052-0594-00.
I'll second that.
Ms. Orch?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item G, resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 9391 Pippin Road. At this address, there's two vehicles, 2011 black Honda Odyssey and a 2010 gray Chevrolet Equinox. Recommend adoption of this resolution.
I motion we approve the resolution declaring two vehicles located at 9391 Pippin Road as junk motor vehicles, and those are on parcel 510-0052-0595-00.
I'll second.
Ms. Orch?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
All right, item H, motion to issue a noise permit, resolution permit to McDogg's Lakeside Saloon. This is the first request for a permit for the 2024 for this business. The request is for the permit from May 17th through October 19th of 2024 on Saturdays between the hours of 2 p.m. and 10 p.m. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I'll motion to issue noise resolution permit to McDogg's Lakeside Saloon.
I'll second.
Ms. Orch?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item I, motion to issue a noise resolution permit to Colerain Veterans Memorial. This is the first permit in 2024 for Colerain's Veteran Memorial, and the event will take place at 3611 Beavis Lane at McDogg's Lakeside Saloon. This will be the second permit for 2024 for this address. The request is for May 18th, 2024, between the hours of 1 p.m. and 8 p.m. for a flag retirement ceremony. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion we approve the request for a noise permit for Colerain Veterans Memorial, 3611 Beavis Lane on May 18th from 1 o'clock to 8 o'clock.
I'll second.
And I'll just point out that, that is an official flag retirement. If you get a hold of Chris Green, who handles that, he will. I have a flag that flies outside that got damaged, and I'm going to have it officially retired, and he'll do so in the respectful way.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item J, let's see, resolution declaring a property as a vacant registrable property at 9870 Week Road. The Code Enforcement Review Board, or the CURB, held a case and hearing on the below property to consider it as vacant. Based upon their review, the CURB passed a motion to recommend that the Board of Trustees declare this property as vacant and to resolve that it is registered and the fees assessed against this property at the below address of 9870 Week Road. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
A motion to declare properties vacant registrable property, 9870 Week Road.
I'll second.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
All right, the second one of this, resolution declaring the property as a vacant registrable property at 10342 Moonflower Court. Same as the last one, CURB, the Code Enforcement Review Board held a case on this property and is recommended that the Board of Trustees declare it as vacant. That address again is 10342 Moonflower, and recommend adoption of this resolution.
I motion that we adopt the resolution declaring the property located at 10342 Moonflower Court as a vacant registrable property.
I'll second.
I can breathe now.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you, Board.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Keep
Board.
that up, you're going to get your picture in a magazine one day.
Yeah.
I don't have time, I gotta go.
Next items will be presented by Assistant Administrator Mays.
Hello, Board. The only item under Public Services is a resolution to prepare and submit an application for a Transit Infrastructure Fund grant and to execute contracts as required. This information can be found on page 95 of your agenda packet. Township staff is preparing a grant application to improve sidewalk infrastructure along Springdale Road from Colerain Avenue to Laura Linda Drive. We are going to leverage existing transportation alternative grant dollars. That's a little more than $260,000 that we've already been awarded. We will use this as a local match for this current grant. The grant funding request for the application is $513,897. This is 50% of the total project cost. So essentially, the township is obligated to pay about 25% of the entire project cost, which is $1,027,795. Staff recommendation is an adoption and approval of the resolution.
And as a reminder on this, we do have another $100,000 request into the county for Community Development Block Grant Fund, so we're continuing to try to piece things together.
Yes.
I motion we would approve the resolution authorizing Colerain Township to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Transit Infrastructure Fund program and to execute contracts as required.
I'll second.
Thank you for your work on this.
Yeah.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you, Board.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Next items this evening will be presented by Development Director Miller.
All right, two items before you from development. The first is the annual meeting for the Tax Incentive Review Council. So Alloy Economic Development is the one that coordinates those meetings and hearings. So all of our tax incentives that we provide through tax abatements and they monitor compliance for active enterprise zone agreements and then Community Reinvestment Act projects. And so we have to appoint 2 Colerain residents to serve at that meeting in June. And then Mr. Baker has volunteered to do that. And then Ms. Heather Harlow would be our other appointee. So the motion before you is to nominate them and appoint them to that, to represent Colerain at the meeting.
I'll motion to appoint Jeff Baker and Heather Harlow to the Hamilton County Tax Incentive Review Council.
I'll second.
Thank you for stepping up and volunteering.
Yeah.
Whether you were volunteered or
Coerced.
however that worked.
First I've heard of it. No, I'm kidding.
Voluntold, I guess that's the right word.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
And then the second item are two resolutions that you have before you. They are the same topic, 9328 Pippin Road. So earlier tonight, we had our public hearing on Vivera Northbrook. And so this before you would be a resolution of your choosing, that whether you would approve the recommendation from the zoning commission or you would deny that. And so the as you've heard already in the public hearing, that item is before you, so your decision.
I'll make a motion to approve CZC-24-2 zoning map amendment requiring a preliminary development plan for 9328 Pippin Road.
I'll second it. I'm looking forward to this project because I think it's a void in the community. I think our fastest part of our growing population is over 60. There's definitely a need. I hope this services more Colerain Township people. So I look forward to the development.
I do have several questions. So I don't know if you want to step up to the mic so that we get you on tape, so the people outside can hear. So when you gave your presentation, you used the phrase, and I put quotes around it, primarily for seniors. Was that a misspeak, or is it going to be all seniors, or are there going to be additional?
It's a 55 and older community.
It is, yeah. If that was articulated, that is not accurate.
Okay.
This is a 55 and older community for assisted living and memory care.
Okay, and phase 2 will be the same?
There's no plan before you for phase 2. We are seeking the rezoning for the entire property because it's,
okay.
That this will the planned development zoning would apply to the entire property. Phase 1 is what we're proposing, the particular preliminary development plan that we've submitted to you for assisted living. Phase 2 we have no plan for at this time, but whenever that time comes, we will be back in front of you with a preliminary development plan for that phase.
So if phase 2 is going to be at all different, demonstrably different from phase 1, you would have to get a different.
For any use, even if it was the exact same use, we would have to come back to you.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, and is there a limit of residents? So I think I saw 1 bedroom and a studio. Is that being limited residents per?
There are. I don't know if you have rules on the number of residents per unit, but as you can imagine, these units have occasionally a married couple, but
sure,
more often than not, it's one individual in the unit. But do you have any rules?
I'm not aware of any.
So what I'm getting at,
I can't imagine it would be comfortable to have more than 2 people in a 1-bedroom.
Right. Well, sometimes it happens. So what I'm getting at is it's not often, but sometimes I've noticed in maybe not assisted living, but in retirement communities, that the son or daughter comes back that's not of that specific age, and then maybe they have a kid, and all of a sudden we've got, 3 or 4 people cramped in this 1-bedroom apartment, and it creates a nuisance for the neighbors around sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think that would pass muster.
Okay.
Isn't it in your bylaws that anybody under an age of certain cannot spend more than 1 night? Or there's communities that have that written in their bylaws that, for that reason, just the residents that are signing on that lease, and then
there is a residential code of.
Okay.
That's what
in the lease.
That was, and then my final question is, I did a little bit of background on Marion Development Group. It seems, please correct me if I'm wrong, that most of the things that you construct, you hold.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, market changes and everything, but standing here now, it's your intention that you will be a long-term owner of this facility?
Yes, the assisted living space is one that we want to be in long term.
No, it's needed, and yeah.
And at what stage of memory care do you have on this site? Yeah.
Yeah, that gets into. I would need to ask our operating attorney.
Okay, I just wondered.
The scope of the memory care will depend on the financing and the way that gets worked out. So we're not at that level yet. We're still at the conceptual level at this time in terms of like the unit count between assisted living and memory care.
Okay.
Well, I would like to see this move forward, and that's a lot of money to invest in our community, and I appreciate it. So thank you.
And I appreciate you answering my voluminous questions there, but thank you.
And I did just want a question for the law director. Was the motion that was put forth, is that for both? I want to be certain we get the vote on both the zoning map amendment as well as the preliminary development plan approval.
I believe that the resolution includes both.
It says both, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And I was just going to remind the board that when it comes to these projects, this would certainly be an opportunity that if you wanted to amend a motion to have any conditions or requirements that maybe weren't contemplated at zoning commission, that's always something worthwhile to consider. Not necessarily that there's anything being floated by staff at this point in time.
It is a 55-plus community.
Yes.
I don't know if we're able to require that as part of zoning, so.
Yeah, I don't think zoning would touch that.
It's a 55-plus community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I just wanted to make couple of notes is that the final development plan is still under development, and they will bring that back to the zoning commission for approval, and that would be the final step in their process. And then the only other condition that the zoning commission added was that they requested the removal as part of the demolition and development process. If you recall the site there, Staverman used to have a little fruit stand, so it was a little pole barn there, and then there's in the back of the property there's a barn that I think that's dilapidated, so they're going to demo those, and then the other two structures they'll work with those and maintain the property, everything out on Pippin. They're committed to keep that up as well. So,
and from a timeline perspective, I believe they're anticipating being open by 2026 at some point in that year.
Okay.
So exciting.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes. Thank you again.
Thank you, Board. The last item tonight is a resolution authorizing the adoption of amended appropriations. Primarily, the reason we needed to get this in front of you at tonight's meeting as opposed to at other meetings is that we had several of our TIF actual funds approved by the state finally, and because of that, we need to be able to make sure that we're good partners and we're able to get our compensation agreements with the school district fulfilled. And with that brief intro, I will recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion we adopt the resolution authorizing the adoption of amended appropriations and the 2024 strategic plan and budget.
I'll second that.
And it's found right here for anyone that wants to see it. It's right here in the agenda.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. And then consent items tonight, new hire for seasonal fire hydrant maintenance workers. These are John Harlow, Ben Kugler, Sandra Webb at a rate of $16.47 per hour. A new hire of a seasonal fire hydrant maintenance worker, David Spencer, at a rate of $16.90 per hour. A promotion to senior planner of David Peters at a rate of $32.94 per hour. A letter of support that I authored to the Hamilton County engineer in support of a grant that they are applying for a comprehensive safety action plan. And then a contract that I signed with Crosshatch Property Works for grass abatements. If this contract does exceed $10,000 or look like it will, I will bring that to the board for a full vote and approval. And I would recommend adoption of all consent items.
I motion that we would approve the consent items A, B, C, D, and E, which is all of them.
I'll second.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
How about your fiscal officer?
Thank you, Board. Just a couple things briefly. As of today, we have received 222 public records requests, and we have 6 outstanding. And for the month of April, we had receipts of $13,575,440 with expenses of $3,529,679,000. Let me start over with the expenses. $3,529,679. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a need for an executive session?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. He got me. Good.
Any second?
I second.
Okay. Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay, we're adjourned at 8:47 p.m. Thank you. Thanks for getting that in.